some time on both feet. So pick a foot to start with, and we're just gonna roll, right? Ball the foot to heel, nice and easy. And what I want to focus on right now is just finding that space, feeling what's in there, right? If you have any little Rice Krispies in that fascia tissue, that plantar fascia specifically. And the other thing I want you to focus on is getting that breath. Right? So if you just finished my class where our heart rate was up, see if you can get that down a little bit. Big inhales and exhales. Right? Remember, we want to find that arch space, kind of digging in down by the heel, digging in up by the ball of the foot, and then as well that outer edge space, right? Way up, down by the heel, and again up by the ball of the foot, right on the outer edge of the foot. Right, so after you roll that, go ahead and polka dot that foot. So push down, hold, and it's just a rock back and forth. And if you're more comfortable having a wall here in front of you, you do this. Go ahead and move over to the wall. We're just kind of rocking, holding, rocking back. And you can also add some toe movement in there. What we're doing here is called a pin and stretch. So we're pinning the tight spots and stretching the fascia out of those spaces. And again, breathing. Remember your breath. So just about 20 more seconds here on the same foot. We haven't switched feet yet. I'm either just rolling or doing that pin and stretch. Good. And then just shake out that leg. And I want to do a little test. We rolled one side and not the other, just to kind of remind us what how good just rolling the feet is. Okay. So I just want you to find hip distance apart. Take a big inhale up, lengthen out of that core, and then forward fold. So knees can be bent, knees can be straight, whatever feels good. And just find your forward fold, walk a little side to side. And how does the side that is rolled versus the side that has not been rolled yet feel? All right, and then come on up in that same stance. Just find a nice, easy, slow squat, and just pay attention to the same things. How does the side that has been rolled feel, not just the feet, but all the way up into the hip, versus the side that has not been rolled yet? And just do two more nice and slow. And last one. All right, and now balance on the foot that you have rolled. Find a one-leg balance and hold. Another great space, just control your breath. You can put that other foot here. Now compare that to the side you haven't rolled yet. Find one leg balance. Hold. And I don't know about you, you probably can't see, I don't think you can see, but I can feel that the side I haven't rolled yet, is working so much harder just to maintain that balance. Muscles, my feet, my ankle, my quad are working so much harder than the side I just rolled. Take two more breaths. And relax, let's switch sides. Okay, so rolling the other foot. All right, and as always, I always say this in this class, but I always want you to listen. Do what you need. You know your body better than anyone else, right? You are in a space all by yourself, so really try to listen to your body, give it what it needs. So if you are rolling one side and you think, oh, there's not much there, but there is on the other, go back to the other side. Give your body what it needs. You don't have to switch just because I do. I will put out a general format, but please do what your body needs from you today. All right, so rolling, we're gonna roll for a minute and then polka dot for a minute. And you can do that on either foot that you need to do it on. All right, just try to explore all the little spaces on both sides. Okay, and now we polka dot that side. So press down, hold, and wiggle the toes. We rock forward, wiggle the toes, rock back. Rock forward, wiggle the toes, rock back. Move the ball to a new space. Maybe you don't want to wiggle the toes. Maybe just go down and hold, breathe, and rock off. Rock forward, hold, breathe, and rock off. Good, 30 more seconds. Remember, rolling should never take your breath away. If it's taking your breath away, in other words, you're, right? It's too much pressure. Back that pressure off. Good. Okay, so let's go back to our little test. Again, big inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Come down and hold. Walk side to side. Just take a little inventory. How do things feel? Take a couple breaths at least. And then roll up. Find a comfortable squat stance. Do 5. Nice and slow. How do both sides feel? And just do one more. Good. And let's switch to the side that you just rolled. Let's start on that side, right? Find your one leg balance. So much better. Okay. I still struggle my left side always with balance versus my right, but much more activity. I feel more muscles in the foot and ankle working here than my right than before I rolled it. My right side always a little bit better. And go back and forth between the two. So you don't have your shoes off, right? Spread those toes. Spread them out, grip the floor. Imagine you're trying to pick up the carpet a little bit off the floor. That activates those muscles in the feet. And go back one more time each side. Good. All right. So what does that tell you, right? Just rolling the feet has a lot of effects up down the chain. So this class probably should be in reverse. If you take body sculpting, did this class before, you probably have better activation as we go into body sculpting. So what can you do? Spend 4 minutes, 2 minutes on each side, rolling your feet before class, before walking, before doing activity. You will wake up those muscles and get things moving. All right, so we're gonna move up the chain. Sorry, no, we're not. We're gonna stretch those feet. Okay, so we rolled them. Let's find split stance, all 10 toes pointed forward. Back heels down, knees straight to start. If you have that wall, you can use the wall here to press into. Tucking that tailbone, pressing the hip forward. So we're getting a little double stretch here. Calf, hip flexor. 3 breaths. Good. Now we're going to come up onto the toes of that back foot. We're stretching the bottom of that back foot. So imagine you're going to take off in a sprint and hold it. Still got that back leg tight. That tucked, I should say, hip flexor stretch, bottom of the foot stretch. 2 more breaths. Good. Now we're going to put that back heel back to the floor, toes pointed forward, knee down to the toes, and hold. Good. And we're going to come up, stretching down the top of the foot. So top of the toes into the floor, front of the ankle forward. Again, pressing the hip forward, using the wall if you need. 3 breaths. Good. Shake it out and switch. So 10 toes pointed forward, right? Heel down. Check your back foot. Mine just tried to turn out on me. All right, I had to look back to see that it was turned. Toes forward. heel down, knees straight, tailbone tucked, chest up, using the wall. If you have it, good. Now, imagine taking off running, pushing through the bottoms of those toes, lift up and hold, 3 breaths. Good, pushing the heel back down, checking those toes if they didn't squirm out, right? Knees, bend at the knee, reach it down towards the toes, tailbone tuck, chest up. Good, and tops of the toes, into the floor. Hips forward, front of the ankle forward, hold. Good, and shake that out. So now we go to the wall, okay? Go to the wall with our ball. I'm gonna turn the camera a little bit here. You can see the drinking fountain in the wall that I'm gonna use. Okay, so we're gonna start with the low glute space, right? Glute max space, putting it in there, rolling side to side. And you can do a little horizontal pattern, right? And we're working from the tailbone out to the hip joint, right? So we're not rolling on the bony landmarks, they're just markers for us, all right? So from tailbone out, you can do it a horizontal. You can do a little diagonal, so I'm going kind of from the tailbone out and up to the hip here. You can go in little circles, whatever feels good in this low glute space. All right, so we're gonna be here for just about another minute, a little under. And I just want you to alternate between sides, right? So don't feel like you have to stay on one side, just alternate. Side to side, a little diagonal. Finding that hip joint from deep inside from this angle and kind of tracing a circle around it with that ball, right? Lots of little muscles that crisscross, interconnect in that space. So can you kind of work around that ball and socket joint without directly putting pressure onto the joint, just kind of tracing a line around it. Good, still in that low glute space for another 20 seconds. And go back and forth, like I said, between the sides, however you need to. Breathing. Good, so next up, high glute space, right? So we're using our bony landmarks again. Here's the top of my pelvis, putting the ball right underneath there, but I'm going from there all the way, kind of a ball and a half width down, right? All through that space. It's easy for me on these pants, it kind of, I have a hem here and a hem here, and that's pretty much the space that I want to be in. So I'm going to be here from the hip all the way to that bony landmark of the spine again and back out. So exploring that space, that high glute space. That's your glute med, right? And remember, the glute med is the smaller of the two between the glute max and the glute med. It's the smaller of the two, but it tends to overwork. It tends to try to do a lot of what that glute max, that bigger muscle, should be doing. So you want to give it a little bit of love here, see where it's tight, right? Now, if you find a tight spot, I have one right here on that left side. I can press, hold, and then to stretch out of that space, I can take that inside arm up, 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 and you can't see my head or my arm above, but now I'm gonna reach out. So as I'm pushing the ball into the wall, I'm reaching out from that space, getting that stretch out of the hip into the side body. Good, and again, alternate between the two sides, however feels best to you. So if you don't have a super tight spot, right, you don't have to do the pin and stretch. You can just stay here with the roll, side to side. See if you can really get right underneath the rim of that pelvis, right on the edge there. Good, and remember our breath. We're never losing the breath here. And about 30 more seconds here in the high glute space. So do what you need to. Maybe you have another pin and stretch on the other side. Good. Okay. So our body is not made up of 90-degree angles. We are not Lego people, but you can imagine your spine coming down to the top of your pelvis and then making that L with the top of your pelvis, right? So it's not 90 degrees, but imagine that space. See if you can kind of nestle that ball in that 90-degree angle, okay? So from the top of the pelvis, nestled right up against the spine, we're targeting those spinal erectors, and we're also maybe getting a little bit of that QL, okay? QL is a very kind of touchy muscle that runs from our pelvis and attaches up into that rib cage. But just kind of nestle that ball right up against those muscles and run up and down the spine. Maybe take it a little bit out along that horizontal line of your L. See what you can find in that space. And again, never losing the breath. Going between the sides, right? I would start with it in that 90-degree, that little corner of the L, right? It's not an L, but we're imagining, right? Start with it in there. See if you can kind of wiggle it in there. Got a lot of tightness, especially in those lower erector muscles. Might take a little wiggling, a little convincing to get into that space. Allow those muscles to relax a little bit to let it in. And then maybe going a horizontal cross and maybe a little vertical up and down. Okay, so about another 40 seconds here in this space. Call this that low back space. Maybe a little QL, definitely some erectors. You push and hold. And the movement here, I would just kind of keep it to wiggling the hips. Maybe back and forth in a circle, a little up and down. Should feel good, right? Should not be painful and that you want to jump away from the wall. All right, so now moving up the chain, next bony landmark we're going to target is that shoulder blade. So you can see at the bottom of my shoulder blade here. Okay, so I'm right here, and we're going to put the ball right underneath there and kind of just kind of trace that bottom edge, that bottom spine of the shoulder blade. So I'm going to be here and rolling in. And again, not a 90-degree angle, but can you find that vertical line, that horizontal line, and tracing that shoulder blade. Right? You have a tight spot, you can hold, breathe, and then movement, right? Joint above or below as you do what we want to do. So you can move at the shoulder, you can do a little in and out. Whatever feels good, maybe reaching up and away as you pin that space. And stay with that lower part of the shoulder blade, right? Lower and maybe halfway up. Do that on both sides, and then we'll work our way up higher, right? So bottom of the shoulder blade, and then up a little bit higher. Good, and just about 30 more seconds in this space. Ooh, I got a big knot on this side, just found it. So I'm gonna reach up and exhale. Just try to stretch, right? I'm pinning, ball's right in that knot. Now I'm stretching out of that space. Good, okay, so now we're gonna move it up. So now I'm gonna go into this space, right in the back of my shoulder, right? Right in that space, kind of at the bottom of my armpit. and lean into it, going a little back and forth, a little up, down, holding, breathing. Find a tight spot. I can add movement just by bringing that hand into my body, back out, right in the back of the shoulder blade. And switching sides, same thing. Right, kind of nestled right in there, right behind the armpit fold. We're kind of at the top, not all the way top, but upper edge of that shoulder blade space. And you could just kind of move that ball from the top down, or we were working from the bottom up. So can you kind of just do a little up and down here, rolling down. So I'm kind of going from here to here in this space. Good. All right, so next space, straight on. So this is my deltoid, right? Deltoid muscle straight on, right into the wall. Lean into it, and then I can add movement here, up, down, in, out, going little wiggles back and forth, up and down, just trying to get that deltoid. That's a muscle that, again, tends to overwork. We're going to try to release that, maybe little circles. Good, and other side, same thing, deltoid, right here. Pretty much just sideways right into the ball, and exploring that deltoid muscle. And breathing. Good. So next up, there's a little bit trickier space to get into, but we're going to try to hit the front of the shoulder, right, front of that deltoid, a little bit into the pec minor. That's what pec minor is, the pec muscle, the chest muscle that comes across and attaches in the shoulder. So we're kind of targeting this space and this space. And in order to do this, you kind of have to kiss the wall a little bit. So I have the ball right here, okay? I'm going to step back from the wall, lean into it a little bit, putting the ball in that space. And I'm doing a little horizontal movement. I found a big crunchy crunch right here. I'm going to hold, breathe, maybe just wiggle back and forth, a little up, down. See if I can add just some gentle movement at a joint below. Okay, but you can also add maybe just a little bit of neck movement. If it feels okay, do it nice and slow and controlled. But remember, our head is attached via our neck to the shoulders. So anything the shoulders that is tight is going to work our way up to the head, right? And going same side, right? Nestled right into that space. Step back in the wall so you kind of lean into it. And kind of, it looks like you're kissing the wall. But digging into that chest and shoulder area. Breathe. And you can see how that deltoid, right from the deltoid to the side deltoid, which we hit last, right? A lot of connections in there. I'm finding that I should spend more time in this space. That's what I'm finding out right now. There are lots of what I like to call Rice Krispies in there, little crunchies. All right, so last space we're gonna find, upper body. Again, using our bony landmarks, back of the collarbone, right? Right along here, you can feel that bony landmark. You grab that muscle tissue on top, that's that trapezius muscle, big wide muscle that the neck comes down into, okay? It gets very, very tight as we tend to sit or act with our head forward most of the day. So we're gonna nestle that ball right on top of that collarbone as if it was a shelf, and then we're just gonna go from the spine out to the shoulder. You can kind of see my ball just right there sticking up and targeting that trapezius, okay? So now trapezius is, if I have a tight spot, what can I do? a nice little movement of the head. I'm not doing a lot of movement, maybe ear to shoulder, maybe a little rotation. Okay, you can kind of nestle it into that. Again, we're not Lego people, but imagine a 90-degree angle. Can you nestle it into that space? Little head movement, whatever feels good. Switch to the other side whenever you're ready. This is our last roll that we're going to do. And then we'll come down the mat and stretch. Whew, lots of Rice Krispies on this right side. Spend more time here for sure. Breathe. One odd thing that you can also do is just kind of do a little bit of a rotation of the arms and shoulders back. Again, little head movements. Just take about 30 more seconds here. Good, and release. All right, do some big shoulder rolls. Should feel looser there in that neck and shoulder space. Maybe inhale up, do a little side bend. Feel looser there all the way through the side body. And I'm gonna turn the camera here so you guys can see my mat again. Good, all right. We're gonna come down on the mat and finish with our stretch. Down here, you have a bath towel or yoga mat. We will use that, but we're gonna start out just here on all fours. And we're gonna target that big glute max first. We're gonna send one leg back, but we're gonna send it across as well. So I'm sending my leg back and I'm swinging it over. So now it's actually outside my other foot. And then I push back, hip to heel. So targeting the glute of that leg that's tucked up underneath you. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. And coming back up. Same thing on the other side. Extend back. Swing it over. So now it's this hip, right? As I press back, hip to heel, and extend through that back leg. Getting a nice stretch in that glute max. 3 big breaths. Good, and then coming up, we're gonna flip over, give those knees a little bit of a break. We're gonna flip over and target the hips and glutes again with our reclined pigeon. We're gonna fold one leg in front, okay, making a number 4, reaching through, grabbing the back of that thigh, pulling it towards you. So as you pull that leg towards you, can you send this knee a little bit away from the face? So you can use that hand for a little assistance if you want, or you can just concentrate on pulling that leg in. So here, big inhales and exhales. To deepen the stretch, can you take those toes of your leg that's closest to you and pull it in towards your shin? You're gonna feel that activate more of that stretch into the hip. And lastly, if you want, you can add a little rock side to side. So just continue your breath here. Okay, and now to target the little muscles right here on the top, we're gonna keep the legs exactly the same. I have my right foot in front. So I'm gonna take the bottom of my right foot and bring it over to the left side of my body. Okay, so once my bottom of my right foot hits the floor, I'm gonna try to rotate back open to the right and give a little pressure with my left hand to the inside of that right knee and push it away. So we're targeting this space right here, outer hip, front of the hip, TFL, and continue here with the breath, as well as a rotation through that thoracic spine. Good. Now, grabbing that top leg, pulling it in, and switching. Okay, other leg in front. Reach through, grab the back, pull it in. And again, you can add a little pressure on the inside of the knee. You can rock a little side to side. Pull the toes up on that front foot to deepen that stretch. Okay, and now I'm going to target the bottom of my left foot, coming to the right side of my body. Okay, and I'm going to push the inside of my knee away as I open up to my left. Good, and then bringing that knee back to center, coming on your back, and this is where we're going to use your towel or your yoga strap, whatever you have. I have a sweatshirt here that I'm just going to roll up. Okay, and it's going to become my strap on the bottom of my foot. Slide my hands down so I have heel over hip. Okay, focusing on that hip staying flat with my mat. My other leg can be bent or it can be straight, whatever feels best to you. I'm going to focus just on that middle hamstring lengthener first. So think hip down, heel up. Don't necessarily think about straightening the knee, just think about lengthening from the back of your hip to the bottom of your heel. Hold. 3 breaths. Okay, now reaching through the heel, take that leg out to the side. And then using the core and your strap to help bring that leg back to center. I want you to find your middle, or where we started once again with the hip pressing down, heel reaching away. Really focus on this hip staying put. You might even squish your fingers in there just to make sure it's not lifting away. Big toe turns in towards the middle of the body. Now we come across. So we don't want to come across so far that we lose those fingers, right? Keep that hip pressing down. Get a nice stretch out here in that lateral hamstring area. Use your strap to guide you. Usually doesn't take very far across. If you've got that hip parked, it doesn't take movement very far across to feel that stretch. Good. Coming back to center. Restack. Bring the other leg up. Put it in your towel or strap or whatever you have. Switch. And we do the same thing on the other side. Heel over hip. Toes to the nose. Think hip down. Heel up. For 3 breaths. And then take it out to the same side. Good. Using your core coming across. Big toe turned in, and again, remember hip into the floor. Use your fingers on that side if that helps. Coming across the body. Not losing that hip to floor connection. Getting that stretch on that lateral or the outside of that hamstring. You can pull up toward your face for a little deeper stretch. Good. And then coming back to center, bending that knee. And take the band off. Both knees in your chest, and then you can either rock straight up or roll to one side. Come on up, and we're going to finish in our child's pose. Okay? So we're going to focus on the upper body a little bit before we settle into our child's pose. So first, I want you to bring your knees mat width apart. Go ahead and bring your toes together, and then step back into your child's pose. Kind of think of your hips as your anchor here. And then we're going to walk hands towards the front of the mat and head towards the mat. So go ahead and put your forehead on the mat. I'm going to keep mine up so you can hear me talk. I'm going to walk my fingers forward. And really think about a lengthening out of your hips. Your hips are your anchor here. So think about a stretching out of that space. Big inhales and exhales. And then I'm going to walk my hand to the left side of my mat. And then I'm going to take my right hand and put it on top of my left, interlace my fingers. And then again, my right hip is my anchor. I'm going to pull that right hip back, but I'm going to reach my right hand forward. Inhale. So we're going across the mat on a little diagonal reach here. Feel that stretch through the side body into the outside of that right hip. And then we're going to switch. So right hand on the outside of the right edge of the mat, left hand on top. My left hip is pulling back as my left hand reaches away. Nice length. Good. And we're going to come back to all fours. I'm going to start with my right arm. I'm going to take it out to the side and up. And then I'm going to dive in underneath, reaching long full or to the side, bringing the back of my shoulder onto the mat, my back of my head onto the mat, keeping my left hand right in front of my face here. Big inhale, exhale, pull the belly button in as I reach my left fingers away. Big exhales. And I'm going to use this left hand that's right in front of my face. I'm going to push through that to come out. Coming back to that all four space. My left hand comes up. On the exhale, dive it under. Back of the shoulder to the mat. Back of the head to the mat. Reaching the left fingers forward. My right hand is again right in front of my face. Big inhales and exhales. And then pushing through the right hand, come up. So we're going to finish here in child's pose. And what I recommend here is bringing your knees together and putting your hips to your heels. Then we're going to bring our belly onto those thighs. Right? So you can keep your hands forward here if you want to continue that stretch through the upper body. But you can also just put your forehead on the mat and let your arms rest next to your side. But why I'm cueing is the legs together and the belly on the thighs. It's just we want to think about starting that breath in the belly, right? We always start the breath in the belly and then through the diaphragm into the lungs and rib cage. So with your belly pressed up against your thighs here, what that does is forces that breath into that low back space a little bit more. I want you to take, obviously find a comfortable position if this doesn't work for you and you want to flip over on your back for your breathing, please do. I'm just going to guide you through 3 big breaths here, starting with the belly. Think about big inhale, expanding through that space. Taking that expansion into the diaphragm, into the lungs, into the rib cage, way up to the top, up by those shoulder blades that we rolled. And then reversing it from that lung space through the diaphragm, and then finish in the belly, pulling that belly button up and away. Before repeating, big inhale, belly breath, diaphragm, lungs, and reverse. And continue. Encourage you to continue with that breath, either in that pose or in any space that feels right to you. Focus on the breath, nice and slow, matching inhales to exhales, and take this next few minutes for yourself. And thanks for joining me today.